Oof. Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're checking out a Moderoid model kit here from Good Smile Company. This is the Rekka all-purpose from Brave Bang Bravern, a series which I have no familiarity with, but this looked like a really cool mecha design here for this very unique, almost sort of like something out of Iron-Blooded Orphans kind of looks like, and even this box art here on the front almost looks like it would be like HGIBO box art kind of illustration there. But like I said, I was drawn to the design of this mecha, so I thought it'd be really cool to check out. And as you can see, not a very big box here for this one, so I'm not expecting the kit to be all that much larger than something like an HG or something like that. Anyway, but we'll find out here in today's video. Let's go ahead and get into it. Right, so another couple of things to point out for the box art. Here's the Type 24 Mobile Command Strider, and you can see that actually the 3 units pictured on the front are all slightly different. With this one here being the main one, you can see it almost looks like it's got like kind of mittens for the hands, which is kind of interesting. And this one here in the background has a little bit different head on it, and this one over here has a kind of different like armaments sort of shoulder missile pods or something on there as well. So again, just being completely unfamiliar with the source material, that just might seem like a kind of a duh thing for you guys. But here on the side of this very thin box, you can see kind of a close-up of what the kit is meant to look like there, and on the ends of the box just going to be the same thing. You have horizontal artwork here on this side and vertical artwork of the box art there on that side. Here on the back of the box, we have some more images of what the kit is going to actually look like. It's a very wide kind of shouldered design. As I said, it's just a very unique design. It's got wheels on the back of the legs. It's got these kind of weird mitten hands and these parts here on the back that kind of open up like that. Yeah, very unique, very different, and it's even the color scheme is kind of unique there with the kind of the dark green and brown colors set against like a white frame, sort of. Very interesting. Let's go ahead and get it popped open and check it out. Oh my, that's certainly unique that we have a layer of bubble wrap in here. Not entirely sure why. Maybe, I'm not sure if it's more to like protect the parts, which is kind of odd because they usually wouldn't do that just to protect the parts, or if it's just like to fill the space, just because like even though it's a fairly thin box, that there's still like a lot of empty space, but there's not that much empty space in there, not much more than usual. And there's another layer of bubble wrap on the bottom though, so maybe I guess like with both layers of bubble wrap removed, it does feel pretty thin, so maybe it's just like to help the box feel more full, but that's certainly something I've not ever seen before. Anyway, we'll check out the runners in a moment. Let's just go ahead and check out the instruction manual first, which is another kind of thing that I've never really quite understood about these Moderoid kits, why they bother putting the instruction manual in plastic as well. I mean, I guess if it gets wet or something, it's protected, but there's also a hole in the bag too, so it wouldn't be completely protected. Yep, be careful not to throw away this. We do have a very small foil sticker sheet here. It's just like basically just for like a couple little camera bits there, so that's it for that. And yeah, the instruction manual here, so it's just going to be a fold out sheet. And let's see if there's anything else too much interesting here to note. On the front inside pages, there's basically some more images like what we saw on the outside of the box. These stickers are going to go in the head and the camera sight there for the rifle as well. Here's our parts list right there. And other than that, it's basically just construction. It is all here in full color, which is nice. That is one of the very nice things that I like about the Moderoid kits. It's this very like heavyweight gloss paper, and everything's all in full color, so very premium feeling instruction manual for sure. But you're just certainly paying for it with these kits being a little bit more pricey, but this one's certainly rather niche. Here we got the final construction and all of that. Let's go ahead and check out the runners then. And starting off here with runner A as well as runner B are both going to be in this dark green color for a lot of the armor pieces here. This does also give you a sense of the size of it. I know it's an odd design, so it's kind of hard to make out what some of these parts are, but like parts for the legs there. And I do think that my original sense that this is going to be roughly about the size of a high grade is going to be the case here, it would seem. Runners C and D then are going to be here in this light gray color for most of the mechanical bits. So it's not exactly white, but it is in a light gray for the frame and joint type parts, mechanical parts, and all that. Lastly then, runners E and F. Runner E is in this kind of brownish tan kind of color there, and runner F is in this very dark gray, almost black kind of color here, parts for the weapons and the kind of tires there on the back of the feet and all that. So that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and get this very interesting looking kit built up and we'll check it out. Alright guys, here is the kit all built up. Certainly a lot smaller even than I was expecting. I was expecting it to maybe be at least about an inch taller than that. But even though it is quite small, I do still think the design is really cool. It's just a matter of, I think, once kits get to be this size, then certainly the cost value is something that a lot of people are going to consider, especially with Moderoid kits and just like Good Smile Company kits in general being a little bit more on the expensive side. Is this going to be something that you're really going to want to spend your money on or not? We'll get into that here in the review, but overall, really cool, very unique design, I think, with some cool accessories. So let's go ahead and get into it with those. So first of all, a couple of extra bits. The little antenna that you have up on like the back side of the torso there, you have 2 extras of those. And as far as I can tell, it's really just so that you have extras in case you lose or break them. There doesn't seem to be any difference there between any of those parts. And then for these funny little like mitten hands that it's got, we have a couple of different options. One just being these open hands like this, which unfortunately have a big gap on the inside of them. And then we've got 2 different types of weapon holding hands here, and these are for the left and the right side. This type of weapon holding hand here, this one is going to be for holding our combat knife. So that's just going to fit into the hand there like so. And you would think that little block there on there is meant to be a thing that you can use to store this on the kit when not in use. Although as far as I can tell, and anything that I've seen in the instructions, it doesn't show anywhere where this is meant to attach onto the kit for storage when not in use, so I'm not sure about that. We also have this set of hands here, which are going to be our hands for holding the rifle weapon. Now these also have a big gap on the inside, but they're going to be mostly covered up as they have that peg in the middle as well, and that's just meant to peg into the handle here of our rifle weapon. You do have a foil sticker there for like the camera lens on that, just like gold. Really cool design though for this. I like this. It has a bayonet on the front. That's not a separate piece. It's not removable or anything. You could cut and like fill that in or something if you wanted to, but otherwise pretty cool design here. You will have what looks to be a bit of a seam line here going across the top and probably a little bit there on the bottom as well, it looks like, but that's just going to be our main weapon. Other than that, a couple of other little options here. So we have this shield that's attached onto the side of the forearm, and basically that attaches onto a peg, which is on the side of that wrist part there. Now, if you didn't want that shield attached onto here and you didn't want the peg sticking out, you do have another option for that wrist part that will not have a peg on it. So if you were for some reason making this and you didn't want to have that on there, obviously you could just cut off and remove that peg, but you have this optional part there instead, which would basically be the same. It's like what we have on this wrist over here. Then for these like pile driver bits here, those are meant to be able to rotate to the back as well, or to the front. They're just kind of attached onto like the back side of what is essentially the waist section here. And we've got an option for these to be able to replace that with a longer piece. So if we remove this one, you can see it's just this little short one. If we replace that with the longer one, it's a much longer like pile driver there sticking out. And again, that can also be out the back, and I'm not exactly entirely sure why. Again, I'm not familiar with the source material, but I'm guessing just as some sort of stabilizer. But it could also be, I'm assuming, used as an offensive weapon here to the front as well, for obviously very close range attack. Otherwise, lastly, for this section here, which is like, it's not backpack because it's also attached to the back of the waist section. It's meant to fold out to the side. We've got an option part to have those as like open flaps instead of closed. We're just going to remove that part out of there, replace this with the open version, and then it looks like that instead of being closed. Really cool gimmick there, certainly a very cool aspect of the design that I really like. But that is it for the accessories. So just to talk a little bit more about the main kit itself and the articulation of it, we don't really have so much in the way of any other kind of gimmicks really. Obviously there's that other sticker there for like the lens, camera lens on the face. The head will go up nice and far, actually, quite far all the way up to there. So a pretty good joint, maybe more than you might expect there for that. And then side to side, of course. In the waist section, we've got rotation here, which is a little bit blocked, but if you have those fins, wings there, whatever, in the back, folded down, you have more of a range of rotation there. Also front and back movement, a pretty good range of ab crunch there in particular in the torso section. For the shoulders, you kind of have this block in between the body and the arm, which will rotate there like that, and then like holding that still, the arm itself will rotate here as well. Will come out to the side to about 90 degrees to the body, and then we have rotation at like the base of the arm, and then also another point of rotation here below the elbow as well. And then just to show you here on the other arm, because it doesn't have the shield attached, it's a little bit easier, but you have this rotation point here at kind of like the base of that wrist part there as well, which is kind of cool. Here for the legs, it's pretty straightforward, just rotation up to the front. We do have a bit of movement here out to the side, so you can get a pretty wide stance there. And then at the knee, you have a double joint with a little bit more than 90 degrees there, actually a pretty good range of movement there for that knee. And then down here for the feet, this little bit of toe will move there. It's kind of like loose up underneath the feet, and just kind of see what that looks like here. The ankle will be able to bend a little bit inward there, and then forward and back quite a lot. Forward, not really all that much there, as you can see, but certainly can go back quite far. This whole bit can move up and down like that, so that they're positioned here at like the back of the lower leg when not in use, and then dropped down for when in use, something like that. So anyway, pretty good range of articulation, all things considered, that it's a pretty small little kit, and actually really reminds me a lot. I mean, like the design is completely different, and this is definitely more complex than the Mechatro kits, but just kind of generally like the size and just different parts of the construction, I mean, do kind of remind me a little bit of the Mechatro kits. It's definitely a bit larger, definitely a bit more complex, but just kind of a similar feeling to it, I think. Last thing to mention then too is that we also have a hard point up underneath the like back of the butt section here, basically, for plugging this onto an action base. We of course unfortunately don't have a base included with this, but we can use any kind of Bandai action base or Kotobuki action base, or Good Smile Company where they have like the Figma bases and stuff like that. Anyway, anything that just uses a 3mm hard point can be used for putting this up on an action base. And so last thing before we take a look at the kit in some different poses, just to give you an idea of the size of this, it's coming out to a little over 4 inches in height there, or that is going to be about 11 and a little bit over 11 centimeters in height there, basically, for the size of this. We can also not fail to mention the little face that's on the chest there, which you can now never unsee. And so as we're taking a look at the kit here in a few different poses, just to wrap up the review, as I was saying earlier, I think it's really just going to come down to, is it worth the price for this kit? And honestly, actually, I forgot the MSRP for this, but I looked it up, and at least here at USA Gundam Store, we were selling the kit. It's unfortunately sold out now at the moment, but we were selling it for $27.99, so it's actually pretty reasonable, I think, for this kit. I was expecting it to be a little bit more, just because typically, like Moderoid type stuff is usually a little bit more, but I think for MSRP for this, I actually think it's pretty good. And honestly, seeing a Moderoid kit with an MSRP like this really should give you an idea just kind of the size of it. Now, even though it's small, I think we do have a good amount of parts in there. I mean, it's definitely not like a super parts heavy kit at all by any means. I would not say that, but it is a relatively simple build with some really nice detail on there. And I think more important than anything else is just a really cool, unique design. That's kind of why I wanted to check this out. So even though, like I said, I'm not familiar at all with the source material, I just thought that the design was really cool, and that's why I wanted to build this kit. Ultimately, I think the size and the complexity match really well with the pricing for this one. So yeah, unfortunately, while we're sold out of it here at USA Gundam Store, there is a link to USA Gundam Store down in the video description. You can still check that for lots of other great Moderoid stuff. You can also check the box there on this particular item and opt to get an email notification if we get more of it in the future, or if it gets restocked or reprinted or something, so you can do that as well if you want to. It's definitely one that I would keep an eye out for, as this probably flew under the radar for a lot of people, just with it being kind of lesser known design, and I think a lot of people don't necessarily follow the Moderoid releases quite as closely as other lines and other releases. Definitely one worth checking out if you can get your hands on it. Hopefully it'll get restocked or reprinted in the future if you missed it the first time around. It's a really cool little design with some cool accessories and features and gimmicks, with like the wings out the back. That's a really cool gimmick with this. And I mean, the weapons are just kind of like a knife and a rifle, pretty standard I suppose, but I do like the design of those. The rifle in particular, I think it's a really cool design. The mitten hands are very interesting, kind of quite unique as well. So definitely a really fun little kit, but let me know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comment section below. I think this is going to look really, really nice once it's all painted up, and I'm definitely looking forward to painting it at some point in the future. But for now, yeah, if you guys enjoyed the review, taking a look at something a little bit different here, make sure to leave a like. If you're not yet subscribed, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos as well. But for now, guys, thank you so much for your support, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye, guys.